going on, guys? Welcome to the channel. My name is Willis Mackey Jr. I'm a professional basketball player from the Bahamas, currently living in Spain. This is my first year as a professional. Spain is my first country that I played basketball in professionally, and it has been such a great journey and so many things that I've learned from this culture. For the most part of my life, I've lived in the Bahamas, I've lived in the United States, and now I'm living in Spain. And there's so many things I could take from all the different cultures. And in this video, we're going to focus specifically on the things that I love about Spanish culture. Tune in. So jumping right into this video, we're going to be ranking things from the bottom to the top, starting with the social life of Spain. When I talk about the social life, I want to speak specifically on the fact that I feel like Spanish people look at life a whole different way than what I've been used to. You know, coming from the US and coming from the Bahamas, people are so much different. Like, they look at life in the way that you enjoy the small things in life. You enjoy the social things of life. You enjoy spending time with your family, with your friends. Everything is so social. They love to do things together, and they love to find ways to socialize, whether that's through food, whether that's through just doing things with each other. And that's something that is not unusual, but it's something that's emphasized in this culture, and it's something I really like about Spain. With that also being said, one of the biggest things I had to adjust to with that social life is that they do everything a lot later. They eat dinner really late. It's common to find people in Spain eating dinner around 9 to 11 o'clock at night. People are eating dinner. And this also goes into like their nightlife as well. Usually parties and things like that will start really late, like sometimes between 1 and then sometimes even 4. That also goes back to the point I was saying with them finding ways to just be social and also to stay together as much time and spend time with their friends as much time as they can. One of the other things about their social life that I really found interesting coming here is siesta. So siesta is basically a designated time in the day in which people take naps, essentially. Take a break out of the day to either spend time with their families, to go home to rest up for the rest of their shift later on at night, or just a way to just socialize once again with their friends, families, and things like that. So I found that really interesting because at certain times in Salamanca, you'll go into the city and there'll be a lot of things that just aren't open. When I first came here, I was so confused as to what was going on. But then obviously my Spanish friends would tell me, oh, it's siesta time, so some businesses are closed until later. So I had to figure that out as I went along. So the next thing we're going to talk about is the people of Spain. Before coming to Spain, I did some research, and one of the main things I found out about the people of Spain that a lot of people online say is that the people are lazy. And I couldn't disagree with that more. I don't think the people of Spain are lazy at all. I just think that they're really laid back people. I just don't think they view life in the same way as other countries view it. They're so much more laid back. Like I said, they enjoy the small things in life, and I think that carries on to like their attitudes. So I can see how that could be misconstrued into believing that it's laziness. But the reality is they're really friendly. Like, they're really friendly and they really enjoy meeting people. They are very welcoming people as well. I also feel like being here, especially during the coronavirus time, I've been able to see a side of Spain that is unique because I've been able to see them unite as a country with the clapping and cheering on of the health workers every night. Just different things that they do together to basically build themselves up as a people. And I find that so unique, and I find that so comforting, you know, being here during this time. The other thing about the Spanish people is that they are very enthusiastic when it comes to sports. They love sports. And as a pro basketball player, I can't complain. They love sports. When it comes to soccer, there's nothing that compares to it. So as a basketball player, I don't even try to compete because soccer will always win. But that's fine. They love sports. They just love to compete, and I love that about them. The third thing on my list is food. To be honest, coming to Spain, I wasn't that big on their food, and I still to this day hate the jamon.
They have the leg of a pig, like that. You just be walking past a store and you just see legs of pigs just hung up.
And here, that's like a delicacy. First time I tried it, it was the worst thing I ever tasted in my life. But that didn't deter me from trying it again and again, and still realizing that it was still the worst thing I ever had in my life. I'm not a big fan of all Spanish food, but one thing I love about Spanish food is the prices of it. Really cheap. One thing that's really famous here is called tapas. So tapas is basically like appetizer-sized foods. You just go into like a restaurant and they'll have them on display, and you pick whichever ones you want, and usually they cost like €1, which is like $1 literally. So it's really cheap. Everything is really cheap. When I go to the grocery store, I will spend maybe 10 to 15 euros and I will come up with a handful of things. But my favorite food in Spain is the tortilla. Tortilla is basically like it's like a bunch of potatoes and onions like wrapped up together into like almost like I don't want to say a cake because you want to think dessert, but I don't know how to explain it. But basically, I love it. It's probably my favorite dish being here in Spain by far. The next thing we're going to talk about is how rich the culture is here. When I talk about how rich the culture is here, obviously when people think about Spain, they think about the lovely cathedrals, all the different landmarks that they possess, and that is so true. But the thing about culture that I want to talk about specifically is how they take care of their elderly, and they have a certain respect for the elderly that I really could appreciate. And I think in the past places that I've lived, it's not always been that way. I always feel like people sometimes look down on the elderly, whereas in Spain, I feel like they build up their elderly because the elderly are considered wise, you understand? So things like that, I really could appreciate. I just feel like different parts of Spain are so unique. I feel like everywhere in Spain is just a different experience, especially if you go from like a big city like Madrid or Barcelona, and then you come to like a smaller city like Salamanca. You could go to different parts of Spain and experience things so different and so unique to that area that I find that so amazing. Another thing is like when you're driving on the street, just like you'll look to the right, you look to the left, and you'll see all these lovely towns and stuff. And there's always something beautiful that marks these towns, whether it's like a clock tower or like a big cathedral or something, in my opinion, that always stands out in these towns. You know, usually when you're driving, let's say in the States on the interstate or something like that, you'll be driving, the only thing you'll see to landmark something is like a big McDonald's sign or something like that, you know? But here it's so much different. Like everything is like cultural, and you could just feel history here. And I find that they use that to their advantage in everything that they do. The final thing we're going to touch on in this video is the beauty of the country. Now, I mentioned that I lived in the Bahamas. I've lived in the US. I've been to many states in the US. I've been to many countries in the Americas, but never been to Europe. This is my first European country. So I had a lot of things on my mind before coming to Europe. I didn't know what to expect specifically, but coming to Europe, I realized that Spain fit all the stereotypes that I could ever think about when it comes to how I thought it would look. And that's like kind of what I talked about in the last point about there being so many lovely buildings, so many lovely things that mark these areas. For example, where I live in Salamanca, you can't go anywhere in Salamanca without seeing the big cathedral. And it is the most beautiful thing I probably ever placed my eyes on. For the first like month I was here, every time I see it, it was almost like it was like the first time. And one of my most memorable things was when I was walking past one time and this guy was like outside playing like a guitar. Like the acoustics of the buildings and stuff just bouncing off and stuff like that was probably one of the most breathtaking experiences I've ever experienced, just by looking at a building and hearing some music. You know what I mean? I told my family, and I told them it's something you can't put into words. It's something you just have to experience, you know? And I was so happy that my parents came to visit me in my first year, and they actually got to see what I was talking about. And they, of course, they felt the same exact way, because where we live, we don't get to see things like this very often. When it comes to just how the buildings are built, everything just has this look to it that's like so unique, and like something that I'm totally not used to, you know, being from the Bahamas and then living in the US as well. But I don't think nobody does infrastructure like Spain. When it comes to these cathedrals that have been here for hundreds of years, it's just amazing to me that they keep these cathedrals looking like they were just built like yesterday or something like that. You know, they keep them so well, and they do so well with maintaining their old buildings and their historic buildings. And I think that's what makes it so beautiful. Like when you can see the history, you can kind of feel the history when you walk through. There you have it. That's my 5 things that I loved about living in Spain. Like I said, being here has been an amazing experience. I've learned so much things about their culture, so many things that I could take away from their culture, and so many things that I could appreciate about their culture, and so many things that they showed me about life that I think I was looking at the wrong way almost. Just appreciating the small things in life, the social things in life, your family, your friends, finding time to just build relationships, to spend more time with the people that you care about most, because those are the people that, you know, always going to take care of you and always going to have your back. And I think them implementing that into their culture is something that I find so unique, and I'm so happy that I get to experience that, especially my first year as a professional basketball player. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you all enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to leave a like on this video. Subscribe to my channel if you're new here. Hit the notification bell so you can know anytime I post. I have so many nice videos that you might be interested in. Feel free to check them out in the playlist section of my channel. I love y'all. Have a good day. Stay safe. Peace.